Madam Attorney General, let me ask you this question. Were you consulted by the White House before they deployed National Guard troops to cities in the United States?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House.
You won't even say whether you talked to the White House about this?
I am not going to discuss any internal conversations with the White House with you, Ranking Member.
I noticed that. What's the secret? Why do you want to keep this secret? The American people don't know the rationale behind the deployment of National Guard troops in my state. The word is, and I think it's been confirmed by the White House, they are going to transfer Texas National Guard units to the state of Illinois. What's the rationale for that?
Yeah, Chairman, as you shut down the government, you voted to shut down the government, and you're sitting here, our law enforcement officers aren't being paid. They're out there working to protect you. I wish you loved Chicago as much as you hate President Trump. And currently, the National Guard are on the way to Chicago. If you're not going to protect your citizens, President Trump will.
I've been on this committee for more than 20 years. That's the kind of testimony you expect from this administration. A simple question as to whether or not they had a legal rationale for deploying National Guard troops becomes grounds for a personal attack. I think it's a legitimate question. It's my responsibility. She refuses to answer as to whether she had any conversation with the White House about deploying national troops to my state. That's an indication, I'm afraid, where we are politically in this place.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, well, folks, you play stupid games, you win really stupid prizes. I mean, come on, like, who in their right mind is going to ask Pam Bondi why Donald Trump is deploying the National Guard to Chicago, of all places? Like, are you serious? He's been very vocal about this. Why don't you get it from the horse's mouth, my dude? But he doesn't want to do that. He wants to try to play political gotcha. That's what he wants to do. It's like Monopoly, except, oh, I got you. I'm going to say something. You see what he did right there? Instead of directing his anger toward Pam Bondi, he directed his anger to the American people. Oh, you see, I can't get a straight answer from our Attorney General. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, come on, dude, that was like the dumbest question. You know, it's like one of those questions that when you're, I don't know, sitting down drinking a cup of coffee, somebody walks up to you, looks at you and says, hey, what are you doing right now? I'm sitting down drinking a cup of coffee. Can you not see with your eyes? That's what we have going on here. This is a fascinating little interaction here, I guess you could say. And I love it, folks. As a matter of fact, Dick Durbin gets burned. Yeah. Bondi burns the dick, if you will. Like, it's his name. That's his name. I'm not being ugly here. That's what it is. Hey, you guys do me a favor. Smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and all over the place all at the same time if you could. And if you would be so kind, I would be deeply appreciative if you guys would click that join button. But without any further ado, folks, here is the rest of the interaction.
Let me ask you another question. I want to, if you will, hold on a second. Make sure I got the right page of facts here. You testified under oath when you last before this committee that before your appointment to Attorney General, you had served as a representative of some sort for the royal family of Qatar. There was an issue that came before you in May when President Trump accepted a $400 million luxury jet from the royal family of Qatar for temporary use as Air Force One before it's permanently gifted to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation. The Constitution unequivocally bestows on Congress the power to control whether any officer of the United States, including the President, may accept a gift, quote, from any king, prince, or foreign state, end of quote. And this gift clearly violates the statutory regime enacted by Congress. You've refused to answer a letter I sent to you 5 months ago asking the legal rationale you relied on to advise President Trump to accept this unprecedented gift from your former legal client. Can you make a promise today that you will disclose that?
Disclose what, Ranking Member?
I assume there was a letter or some sort of statement from your office to the White House to advise them that you felt it was permissible?
First, to address my role with Qatar, as I addressed with you during my confirmation hearing, I disclosed it in my SJQ. In private practice, I worked for Qatar for anti-human trafficking for the World Cup. That was my only involvement, and I made that very clear, and I'm very proud of everything I've done with anti-human trafficking. Obviously, in preparing any advice for the president on a jet or anything else, we consult with the Office of Legal Counsel. The confidentiality applies to their input as well. And Chairman, if you would approve and vote to approve, as Chairman Grassley said, excuse me, Ranking Member, as Chairman Grassley said, my employees, we would answer your letters a lot faster, yet you're stalling them at every stop. And to go back to your previous question, your city has a murder rate 5 times higher than New York's. 571 homicides last year. If you were serious about protecting your people, you would be asking this administration for help. You're saying that we're coming into your state and your city. We're there to help make America safe and Illinois safe, whether or not you want to.
I believe cutting federal grant programs to law enforcement in my state and across the nation does not make us any safer, and you've done just that. You've supplanted that decision by sending in National Guard troops to California and other places. That is a situation where the governors have not asked for that help. If you truly wanted to do this on a bipartisan basis, you wouldn't defy a governor, you would work with them. I'm prepared to do that. I'm prepared to work with this administration. But cutting these grants to law enforcement does not make us any stronger as a nation or give us the tools we need to reduce crime in Chicago. Now, I'd just like to ask you, when it came to this Cutter situation, did you consult with the ethics office in the Department of Justice before making your decision on this gift of a jet?
Chairman, I didn't gift a jet to anyone. My Office of Legal Counsel provides confidential advice to the president, to the White House, period. And you're conflating two issues. Cutting grants, I was very clear about what grants we've cut and what grants we haven't, only 7%. And if you have a grant in Illinois that you think that I've cut that is not that is protecting law enforcement officers or your people, you personally call me and I will work with you to turn that grant back on. I think many of the Democrats here can tell you, I have worked with them to turn grants back on. There's an appeal process. Tell me a specific grant that I have turned off in Illinois that would help law enforcement, and I will work with you. But you have not done that.
Did you take a look?
The National Guard is on the way right now as we speak. Oh, by the way, so is Director Patel and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. You're sitting here grilling me, and they're on their way to Chicago to keep your state safe.
Madam Attorney General, it's my job to grill you. The investigation of your agency is part of my responsibility and this committee. You may not like the experience, but others have weathered the storm and answered questions in a respectful manner.
Can you tell me the grants,
yes.
Ranking Member, please?
Take a look at the president's budget on HIDA grants. What happens to it in his proposed budget?
I'd be glad to meet with you on the grants.
It's cut by 1/3 from $300 million to $196. That's one example of a grant that works, and your administration has suggested cutting it in the budget lies ahead. I want to ask you about items in a letter I sent you in July that you have not answered. In February, you made a public claim that the Epstein client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now for review, end of quote. You then produced already public information and no client list at a major media event hosted at the White House. Attorney General Bondi, why did you publicly claim to have the Epstein client list waiting for your review and then produce nothing relevant to that claim?
Senator Durbin, if you listen to my entire clip on that, I said I had not reviewed it yet, that it was sitting on my desk along with the JFK files, the Martin Luther King files, and I said I had not yet reviewed it. And if you see our memo on Epstein, you will see, excuse me, our memo on Epstein clearly points out that there was no client list, our July 6th memo. You also didn't let me respond to the HIDA question. The budget transfers $196 million for high-intensity drug trafficking areas to the Office of Justice Programs, OJP. The Justice Department will continue to administer those grants under OJP in 2026.
Going back to the Epstein files, according to another whistleblower who made a protected disclosure to my office, you pushed the FBI to review approximately 100,000 Epstein-related records on an arbitrarily short deadline in March, and the FBI was directed to flag any documents that mentioned President Trump. Nothing came of that review until July, when DOJ and FBI released an unsigned memo stating, quote, "there's no incriminating client list." Why was the July 7th memo unsigned?
The July 7th memo came from the FBI and the Department of Justice. Director Patel answered those questions very clear. And, you know, Senator Durbin, I find it very interesting that you refused repeated Republican requests to release the Epstein flight logs in 2023 and 2024. You fought that. Did you take money from Reid Hoffman, campaign donations, who was a huge Epstein friend? Why did you fight for years? Why did you fight to not disclose the flight logs, Senator Durbin?
I can tell you I did not refuse. One of the senators here wished to produce those logs, and I asked her to put it in writing, and she never did.
Yeah, I think Senator Blackburn would quarrel with you on that.
Well, I will quarrel with you as to Reid, somebody that you mentioned I never heard of.
Reid Hoffman.
So who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. And you won't do it today, but eventually you will. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
I got to
Mr.
interject
Chairman?
something here.
Mr.
before I
Chairman.
get Pam.
Mr. Chairman, since Senator Durbin referred to me, I would really appreciate the opportunity to correct the record.
Proceed.
Because Senator Durbin knows I repeatedly asked for those flight logs. I brought up the subpoena. You even shut down the committee because you didn't want that, and you know I submitted that in writing, and you continue to misrepresent that. And I am not going to let that record stand.
And there you have it, folks. Another episode of When Lies Are Exposed. The Democrat narrative just doesn't work, folks. Like, all of that was pretty much just exposing Dick Durbin's lies. That's all he's doing. He's getting corporate press narrative and talking about this. Oh, we had whistleblower testimony come out and said blah, 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 blah. Like, nobody cares. Like, these people are just psychotic, if you ask me, because we see everything going on in Chicago. They try to deny it and say, oh, the Trump administration is violating states' rights by not working with the governors. Well, the governors don't want the help. And you see all the chaos going on in your state, in your cities, and it's insane to just allow that sort of chaos to continue. So Donald Trump, he's going to invoke the Insurrection Act. You are going to have to deal with National Guard. He's preparing to do that right now. I just got through reading a news article talking about that. He's probably going to do it, folks. And hey, that's a good thing. I wish he would have done that in 2020. We all wish he would have done that in 2020. Now, once again, like I could go down and debunk just about all of that. Like the plane from Qatar or Qatar, however you want to pronounce it. Y'all let me know down in the comments section. However it's pronounced, it doesn't really matter, right? That's not a gift to Donald Trump. Once again, that's a gift from their Defense Department to our Department of War. As a matter of fact, that's where that's going. And then it was going to be donated to the Presidential Library by the department, not by Qatar. Once again, folks, that's why everything's on the up and up. She doesn't have to disclose any of that information. And once again, the ridiculous question, why are you sending the National Guard? Like, are you kidding me with this? Have you not seen the news, Dick Durbin? Have you not seen any of this? Like, and then talking about Epstein. I said this from the beginning. When I watched that video, because I saw a news article said, oh, Pam Bondi says she's got the Epstein client list on her desk. I went and watched the clip. That's not what she said. She said she has the files on her desk, which she doesn't really have the paper, the hard copy files. Not really, but colloquially, she has the files on her desk. And once again, folks, that is ignoring the fact that they're only allowed to release so much of this information. They are not allowed by court order to release the vast majority of the client list or the flight logs, whatever it may be. Any incriminating information. As a matter of fact, they can't prosecute anybody that may be involved with Epstein because of a judge putting a restraining order on all of that nonsense. Stopping justice from happening, essentially, is what that court order did. Which is insane. It's totally insane. The courts are stopping justice in this case. It's all crazy what the Democrats do, the lies, the manipulations that they pull. I'm not saying that Pam Bondi doesn't lie. Of course, everybody lies, right? I mean, come on. We can all agree to that. But we try to tell the truth. Once again, and I don't understand why these Democrats just refuse to tell the truth. It does not serve their interest whatsoever, because once again, you take people like me, you go look all this stuff up, you fact check what he's saying because, oh, that's a bit concerning because I support Trump. And if he's taking gifts from a foreign nation, hang on, that violates the emoluments clause of the Constitution, for crying out. Let me go look this up. Oh, come to find out, no, it's a gift from there to there. It's not even going to Trump, so none of that matters, right? Once again, oh, the flight logs are on my desk. The client list is on my desk. No, she said the files were, and then come to find out later, no, we can't do that. And then they say, why are you sending the National Guard? I mean, Trump has made it quite clear why he's sending the National Guard. And these people just refuse reality. They just ignore it and push it to the side and say, nothing to see here, folks. They want to let the death and destruction just continue in the background, right? It reminds me of that video from the Summer of Love, the riots of 2020, the BLM riots. As a matter of fact, with this guy saying, well, you know, we've got mostly peaceful protests here with a freaking federal courthouse burning to the ground behind him. It's like, it's a little bit fiery. Is that what you call fiery, my dude? This is what Democrats are doing on a consistent basis. Standing in front of a burning building saying, everything's okay, folks. Nothing to see here. We don't need any help. Our officers have got it. And clearly, they don't. Clearly, there's something much deeper going on here. I don't know if they're just embarrassed about this. I'm not sure, but it's insane to continue the narrative like this. But they do it. They do it, and it does not serve anybody's interests. Not their own interests, not your interests, not mine, nobody's, not their constituents. A lot of people, once again, they have this, I don't know, this undying just appeal to authority that they just can't refuse. And if they hear something on the corporate press, the mainstream news, whatever it may be, they hear somebody on MSNBC say Trump is a fascist, they're going to believe it, and they're going to tell their friends and family Trump is a fascist, and then look like a freaking crazy lunatic in the process. And none of it makes any sense. They manufacture a crisis and then complain. They gnash their teeth about said crisis because Donald Trump is trying to fix that crisis. They gnash their teeth about Donald Trump trying to fix the manufactured crisis that they just made up. It's like, it's circuitous logic, folks. It's circuitous nonsense is what it is, because we're going round and round and round and nobody's getting anywhere. That's all that's going on here. I love all of this. So this is a full hearing. Yeah, we shifted topics. I know I said I was going to cover that lady's, Mrs. Cook's testimony, and I promise I will get to that. I know that, once again, the procrastinator in me is going off. You know, I must have flipped that switch sometime last week, I guess, that procrastinator switch. It's humming along just fine, y'all. It is humming along just fine. I know you got to get to much more interesting, click-worthy videos, I guess. You know, it is what it is, but I will cover it, I promise. Even if I have to I will do it this week. Even if I have to do it on the weekend and make extra videos on the weekend, I will do it. I promise you guys, I will get that out there, because that is some really powerful testimony from this lady. This lady just got up there and just let all of it hang out, y'all. Just let all of it out. And it was badass. And it once again, it's a devastatingly horrific story. It just is. It's you'll see. I promise I'll cover it, guys. But you know, I think that's all I got on this one. These videos never seem to strike me as noteworthy. Sometimes, you know, it's like I hear this stuff and it's like, this is nonsense. What are they doing here? It's like, Why? But people dig it, you know? People like hearing these people fight back and forth. It's like somebody tells a lie and then somebody else corrects them. I don't know why that's so interesting, but it is. And it's so prevalent right now, y'all. Like, Democrats just do this on a consistent basis. I just got through watching Caitlin Collins argue with Ted Cruz about, well, there's no motivation that the FBI has put out yet about Charlie Kirk's assassin. Like, are you kidding me with this? He said it. He hates Charlie Kirk. There's your motivation. But once again, the corporate press, CNN, they just lie about things. They're like, oh, we don't have it in writing from the FBI or from the Utah State Police or from anywhere, right? We don't have it in writing, so we don't believe anything. We cannot and refuse to do simple math. Put 2 and 6 together and get 8, because when you add 6 things with 2 things, you get 8 things, right? Regardless if they're the same things or not. But once again, folks, it's just insane. It really is. The political landscape right now and what's going on in this country. You've got Democrats denying reality over here when they could be actually, genuinely criticizing the Trump administration over some of these ICE raids and all this other stuff. But they're not. They're allowing their constituents to get out there and just escalate tensions, terrorize ICE, for crying out loud. I saw this interesting meme. And once again, the left, they can't meme at all. It was basically an ICE agent with a baton in his hand, like he's about to strike somebody that was laying on the ground bleeding, and the ICE agent saying, "Stop calling me fascist." And I'm just thinking, that reminds me of some of these clips we've been seeing from ICE, where, ICE will take somebody and shove somebody to the ground, and that's all you see. The clip starts with the ICE agent actually grabbing somebody and shoving them to the ground. And it's like nobody thinks, hey, what happened right before that? Right? So that meme that I was talking about just now, what you didn't see in that meme was when that person that's on the ground bleeding threw a concrete milkshake at that ICE agent and called him a fascist. There you go, folks. It's like these viral videos been going around. When you go and find, and it takes a while, and that's terrible because it's so hard for people to get the actual what happened, to get reality served to you. It took me a while to find the video where this lady is like in his face and like grabbing on this dude and screaming at him in his face. Like, you just assaulted a federal law enforcement officer. Like, and she assaulted him for a minute like that. Just grabbing his shirt and just shaking. Like, she did that for a while, and it took him a while to lose his composure. Yes, he lost his composure, and once again, I will admonish him for doing so. He should not have lost his composure. But still, regardless of that, he was still assaulted. It doesn't matter if he was hurt or not. You can't do that, folks. It's insane what these people do. And that's what we have going on in this country. You get the corporate press narrative is the ICE agent shoving this lady to the ground. And then everybody gasping, "Oh my God, he should be fired." But they don't show you what happened before that. Once again, so they're not lying to you, but they are misleading you. And that's a shame, folks. They have no interest. It does not serve anybody's interest for anybody to lie to anybody else. Ever. Not on a widespread scale like that. Does not serve anybody's interest. But they do it. That's all I got, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Blows my mind. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button for me. I would greatly appreciate that if you guys could do that for me. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, especially if you want to keep up to date with news and politics. It's the best channel for it, y'all. You might not like my face, but I do bring the facts. But y'all do all that. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. And if you would be so kind, rewind. I bet nobody's heard that in a while. Click that join button. sign up and become a member. That's the best way to help this channel expand and grow. But you guys remember that God has a plan for everybody, and He loves each and every one of you out there. So y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.